goodness, I think this is working. Let's have a look and see if this is working. Hello, 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 everyone. How are we doing? Alrighty, this is a little bit unnerving. Facebook and Zoom have changed the way that they interact together. So I'm hoping that this is working. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's live. And please excuse me, I have not been live on a regular basis. I know over the last couple of months there's just been a few little challenges with my dad and whipping back to New Zealand to look after him. He's in a great shape now. He's recovering nicely after a back operation and really pleased with how he's going. But before we dive into today and I introduce myself, I'm just going to double check on my phone that, oh yes, there I am, I'm live. So this is good, it's working. All right, so, and I'm just gonna tag everyone to let you all know. Hi Robert, hi Larry, hi Adele. It's great that some of you have found me in here. This is good. Alrighty, because yes, good old Facebook and Zoom, they've changed the way they interact, and yes, my first time doing it this way. So gosh, there was a little bit of tech trying to set this up this morning. So here we go. And for those of you who might be watching for the first time, you might have joined the group recently. Hi, I am Karen. This is my group. I am a whole food plant-based certified health coach and life coach, and I help people achieve their health and their weight goals with the power of plant-based lifestyle, mindset, and a lot of emotional healing as well. Before we dive in, I just want to make sure that you've got my free resources. I've linked them in the comments of this live, so make sure that you've got those. There's a whole food plant-based guide that's going to help you just with understanding what whole food plant-based eating looks like, where you're going to get all your nutrients, and some very simple steps to help you transition. And there's also my weight loss guide as well, which also talks about food, calorie density, plate building, and all sorts of other very simple but necessary healthy habits that are going to help you achieve your weight loss goals. Okay, now somebody is trying to, Christina, I know you're trying to come into my Zoom. Sorry, my dear, we don't do that today. Okay, today's topic, we are diving into the topic of why waiting for motivation to make changes, to make healthy changes in your life is not the ideal way to go when it comes to wanting to achieve your health and your weight loss goals. All right, so give me a hands up or an emoji. Drop your favorite emoji in the comments. I'm going to read them from my phone. If that is you, if you're wanting to, hi Margaret, if you're ready to stop waiting for motivation to kick in and you're ready to start doing in order to change your health results, give me that emoji if that is you. All right. I know you're all here wanting to change your life, change your health. Hi, Margaret. And I know that Facebook is so behind where I am right now, where I'm speaking, and I know it's like 10 steps behind. So I'm not going to wait for you all to drop your emojis, all right? I want you to just keep dropping them as I'm speaking. All right. So, and I've also got a free gift for you at the end if you stay and watch till the end, all right? I'm going to encourage you to watch till the end. This is not going to be a long live today. But let's dive in. Why waiting for motivation to kick in before you start making changes is a big trap. All right, so I speak to many people. I've been speaking to many people recently. Hey, Christine, I love it. Awesome emoji. I've been speaking to a lot of people recently, and certainly over the 4.5 years I've been doing this, and they'll be saying, like, I know what I should be doing, but I'm just not motivated. I'm just not motivated to do anything yet. I'm just kind of, not motivated yet. I'm waiting for some motivation to kick in. It's a very common misconception that we think that we need to feel motivated in order to start taking action. It's like we're waiting for, a spark of inspiration, like a burst of energy or something, like, a thunderbolt that's going to come down out of the sky and kick us up the arse, right? But guess what? Motivation is just another emotion. It's going to come in waves. It's going to come and it's going to go. It's just like happiness. We're never happy 100% of the time. We are never sad 100% of the time. Like, we're never angry 100% of the time. So we're never going to be motivated 100% of the time. Even after if you're started on that journey, right? Motivation is never going to be there 100% of the time. Sometimes it's going to be there and sometimes it's not. All right, so we don't want to wait for it. We're never going to be motivated 24/7, right? We're just not. So I don't want you to be waiting around expecting that to happen. All right, waiting for motivation is like waiting for a bus or a tram or a train that's been cancelled. Like, it's never going to come. It may come, it may not come. Waiting for motivation is giving your power away to something external to you before you start taking control of your life. And we tend to miss out on so many great opportunities because we might be waiting for the perfect moment to get started. And I want to spoiler alert to you, there's no perfect time. Right? It's never going to be the right time to start. Like, life is never going to be perfect. Like, you're never going to have all of your ducks in a row. It's not, life is not like that. In fact, the best time to start is when you're not motivated. The best time to start is when life is in a bit of an upheaval, right? You are never going to be 100% motivated all of the time to change your life. All right, I want you to think about it like this. Like, how many times have you felt like super motivated, say on January 1, New Year's, you're setting your New Year's resolution. This is the year I'm going to do it, right? We are in July. Then the second half of the year has just started. Like, how many of you are still feeling that level of motivation that you felt on January 1st? How many were still feeling motivated by February the 1st? Right? It's there for a super moment. Why? It's there for a super moment because you felt in pain in some way. Maybe the effects of the Thanksgiving, holiday season, New Year, Christmas celebrations, all of that had compounded, and you felt the effects in your body. You felt run down, you felt tired, you felt like you'd put on some weight. You were like looking at yourself and you're going, my goodness, what have I done? I've got to change. You felt motivated in a moment of pain. Pain is an incredible motivator, but we don't want to keep bringing ourselves back to that feeling of pain in order to feel motivated. This was me. I'm not judging you at all if this is what you're going through. This was me for so many years. Like, overindulgence over that holiday period. And for us at this side of the world, it's summertime. So, there's all sorts of things happening. There's parties, there's celebrations, there's summer stuff happening. And then we get to, post-Christmas, it's time to go away on holiday, to go to the beach, to get the bikini out. And I'd look at myself and I'd go, ugh. Right? At that moment, I was motivated to change. Like, it's got to happen this year. And I was motivated because I was in pain. But each year it would happen the same way. After the summer season had gone and we were into the winter season, well, guess what? The motivation's not there anymore because I don't have to be in the swimsuit and showing my body at the beach, right? So, and then wait till the following year when it was back in the summer and having to, not wearing so many clothes, and I'd look at myself again and go, oh, I still didn't do it this year. This year it's going to be the year. I was realizing how much further I'd slipped behind every year. I was waiting to feel motivated by pain in order to get started. And that's not what we want to wait for. Pain is a better motivator than the desire for the outcome. But We don't want to wait for that because it's not going to be around all the time. And look, I also remember back in about 2016, 2017, when I was thinking about, I was vegetarian, thinking about going back to being vegan. And I remember, I had this desire. I wanted to go back to being vegan, but there was something just holding me back. It's like I was waiting for something like to be hit by lightning or something to motivate me before I actually made the change. And the stupid thing is I was saying to myself, if I ever get breast cancer, because breast cancer does run in my family, both my grandmother and great-grandmother had breast cancer. And I was saying, if I ever get breast cancer, I'm going back to being vegan, no doubt about it. Why on earth was I sitting around waiting for a cancer diagnosis, a breast cancer diagnosis, in order to make change, to make healthy change in my life? It's utter madness. Why am I waiting for a massive amount of pain and a life-threatening disease to make that change? But guess what? It wasn't breast cancer that I got, was it? It was skin cancer. So I really did get a kick up the butt. And that was my motivation to make that change, right? But why? Why do we sit around and wait for some terrible diagnosis before we are feeling that, that level of motivation to make change? We don't want to wait for that, because guess what? Once we've got that diagnosis, change is so much harder. So let's look at flipping that script. Let's not wait to feel motivated, because guess what's going to motivate us most? Pain. The threat of losing our life. We don't want to wait for that. It's insane. Let's flip the script. Let's start taking action first before we start feeling motivated. Here is the secret sauce. If you want to feel true motivation without it being based around pain and a life-threatening disease, start taking action first. Action creates motivation. Write this down. Write it down. Connie, I just saw your comment there. You're so upset with yourself. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna do a whole live, I think, next on why getting upset with yourself is not the way to go. It is not helpful. So how about having some compassion for yourself? You will do better for yourself when you have compassion for yourself rather than beat yourself up. But getting back to motivation and taking action. We want to take action first, because action is what creates motivation. And I want you to write that down. Action creates motivation. It's not the other way around. We don't wait for motivation to come before we take action. When you start taking small steps, you start to build momentum. You start to see some results from taking that action. You start to feel a bit better from taking that action. That action starts to become a habit that feels normal to take. And so when you start to create that momentum, you start to build motivation. It starts to fuel the motivation that you need. You start to feel normal doing the action. You start to see the results of doing the action, and boom, your brain starts to release dopamine when you start to achieve those small wins. This is the science behind it, guys. This is backed by research. Dopamine is released in our brain as a reward neurotransmitter. Our brains love achievement. They love achieving small goals as much as big goals. This is why I encourage you to make small changes, because you're going to get those little bursts of dopamine. That dopamine is going to help you feel good, and feeling good is what motivates you to keep going. So the more that you take action, the better you start to feel, the more dopamine you start to get along your journey, and the more motivated you become to keep repeating that action over and over and over. And it becomes like a positive feedback loop. So here's some small steps to getting started. 1, I want you to set small and achievable goals. All right. Most of us think that we need to, if we want to change our health, or if we want to improve our health, we want to change our diet, that we need to change everything all at once. All right. Now, research tells us that this is the wrong way to go. And I'm going to liken it. I'm going to give you an analogy. All right. So if you are a native English speaker like me, you have been speaking the English language, and if you're like me, really only the English language, for most of your life, like all of your life, apart from maybe those first few years. You started to speak the English language, or whatever your native tongue is. If you're listening to me, you obviously speak English. Let's just pretend if you're only an English speaker, you've been speaking only the English language since you were as young as you can remember. You started picking up on words, the English language, from a very young age. You went to school to learn how to write it. You picked up your pen with one hand or the other, and you started writing. You started learning the alphabet. You started learning how to put sentences together in the written form, and that flowed into your speaking form as well. So you are very, very familiar with the English language. Now, changing everything all at once in your lifestyle habits, your food, your diet, your sleep habits, your movement habits, changing everything overnight and trying to make big, grand, sweeping changes is like waking up the next morning and expecting to speak French fluently. You might have read a book on France the day before and you decided, oh my God, French culture is amazing. I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna become French. And so you try and wake up the next day and try and speak French fluently. You realize, oh my God, I can't do this. You go to France and you hear all the native French people speaking to you and you can't understand a freaking word they're saying. Right? They speak so fast because it's their native language. And we don't do that. We don't learn that way, do we? When you decide to learn French, you might go to a school, or you might download an app or something like that that helps you learn a few words to start with, learn a few phrases, learn about the French grammar. You start to pull it together in bits. You start to learn little bits at a time. And as you start to learn these little bits, you practice it and you practice it and you practice it, and it starts to become familiar. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm getting this, I'm getting this. You get that reward, that dopamine from your brain. And you start to build on that. And over time, with the practice and expanding your vocabulary more and more and more, you start to speak that language. It might be a bit clunky at first. You could go to France potentially and have a conversation with someone, but it might still feel a bit clunky. In order to become a fluent French speaker, you might need to go to France and actually live there for some time so that you become immersed in the culture and speaking with people to them, at a speed that is normal to them. And that is how you start to become a fluent French speaker. You don't just wake up one day having read a book or watched a documentary or something and like, boom, I can do it straight away. And it's the same with your healthy habits. Right? I want you to think about it exactly the same way. I want you to start with small and very achievable goals. Start with something easy. Maybe that is starting with adding an extra serving of vegetables to your meal. Whatever you've currently got on your plate, I don't care what it is, but maybe you just shift the proportions of what you've got on your plate. More veggies and less of the other stuff. Maybe it is starting with a complete new slate of breakfast. Just choose one breakfast that you're going to have. Whatever you're having at the moment, like if it's not whole food plant-based, start with choosing a new breakfast. Maybe it's a big green smoothie to start your day, right? Or a bowl of oats with some berries or some other fruit. Something that is simple. Most people have the same breakfast every single day. And so choose something and replace your breakfast. That's a really easy thing to do. And then as you get used to that and you start feeling better and you go, oh, look at me, like I'm nailing this breakfast thing. And then you go, okay, well, I'm going to add another meal. Or I'm going to start just changing the proportions of food on my plate. I'm going to really shrink down all of the red light foods on my plate so that they're not so much of a big portion of my plate. I'm really going to up the plant content. That in itself is going to have a massive effect. One of my clients, Bev, lost 80 pounds doing that. She didn't fully go whole food plant-based. She did give up dairy, but she still kept meat on her plate. Being my cousin's wife, she didn't want to fully transition to whole food plant-based. She came to me to help her lose weight because she knew that I could. And so she just changed the proportions of what was on her plate. Her breakfast was a big green smoothie. She changed her lunch over to something that was plant-based, usually a salad or some sushi, something like that. And then dinner was usually still some meat on her plate, but a small portion with a lot of vegetables. All right, so you can start making changes like that as well. If you're not currently drinking water, add an extra glass of water into your day just to start with, or sit down with a glass of water at each of your meal times and start that way, drinking that water. You're starting to habit stack. You're already eating for the day, so add a glass of water to what you're eating, and that's going to help you get a little bit more water into your day as well. You want to start with small wins, because small wins can lead to bigger victories. If you can start to commit to making small changes, not only do you start seeing improvements, but you're starting to teach yourself to commit to changes. You are starting to learn how to make commitments to yourself and honor those commitments. And if you make those commitments doable, then you start to become somebody who is a committed person. You decide what changes you're going to make. They're small, they're doable, and then suddenly you're able to commit to them. All right? And when you commit to that action because it's doable, you're starting to create that momentum. You're getting that burst of dopamine because, oh my God, I'm doing it. Right? And then you generate more motivation and more momentum to keep going. I remember when I was in the fitness industry, I sort of was thrown into the fitness industry. I was helping I had been made redundant from my job, and my ex-husband and I, we bought into a small fitness franchise. And so while I was still looking for a job, I decided to jump in and help him launch the business. And then eventually I decided, I'd always wanted to be a trainer, so why don't I go get my certifications and I can actually help out on the floor too. And at the time, I was not at all, I was feeling probably my most unfit that I'd ever felt. And I was like going through this identity transition for one, like, ooh, who's going to listen to me as a trainer? I'm feeling unfit. But what I did is I took, my members were just as unfit as I was. So that was a good thing. And what we did is we all encouraged each other to get fitter and fitter and fitter. Why? Not by doing some massive challenges. We started with these little small challenges in the club, like seeing who could row the fastest for 1K, or seeing who could cycle on the bike for the fastest for 2Ks, and we'd have a male champ and a female champ. And and the whole thing was that it was just small bursts and small distances, and everyone would try it. Everyone would try and achieve their best time. It wasn't just competing against each other. It was also recording our own times and then just trying to beat our own times. And so we kept doing these little challenges like this, and lo and behold, I suddenly, over a period of time, started to be able to challenge myself to do more. I felt that I could see myself getting faster at these times, beating my times. I felt fitter, I felt stronger, and taking it one little step at a time. And suddenly I went from someone who could barely run for 2 minutes to running a 15.2 race, something I had never dreamed of in the past. I used to struggle, like run, walk, a 5K back in the day. And now running a 15.2 was super freaking easy because I started with these small little challenges, right? So I want you to keep taking small, consistent action. That action helps you to build more momentum and keep driving you forward. And as you make that commitment to yourself, you start to go, okay, what's next? I can feel the benefits of this. What's next? What can I change next? What can I do next? You start challenging yourself more. All right, so that's number one, set small achievable goals. Number two is to create a routine. Now, consistency of routine beats motivation and perfection every time. I just want you to get consistent. So set a schedule for yourself, whether that is around planning and prepping your weekly meals, knowing what you're going to have in advance. It doesn't need to be the perfect plan, but if you get in a routine of planning ahead of time and preparing your meals, or at least, shopping and having all the ingredients there so you know that you've got everything that you need to make, you're less likely to go, stuff it and go through the drive-through, or stuff it and order Uber Eats. You've got the food there. You've got, you know what you're going to make. If you make your plant-based meals ahead of time, and you make them in bulk, when you get to being hungry, you've got food there that you can tap into as well. But create yourself a routine. And your brain gets used to routine. It gets used to what becomes habit. So over time, that will start to become something that you do consistently, and your brain starts to desire that consistency. All right. Same with things like, movement or workouts. Set a schedule for yourself, and soon your brain will be in the momentum. So whether that schedule is just getting yourself started with a 10-minute walk per day, just decide what time of day works best for you. If you're not doing anything to start with, like just getting yourself out that door, getting some sunshine, just think about it as getting some sunshine, particularly for those of you who are, in the warmer climates at the moment, getting a little bit of that vitamin D, getting some fresh air, getting out into nature. Those things are all wonderful for our health. So set a schedule and maintain that schedule. You might want to sort of also set a schedule for your self-care, or say a wind down routine at the end of the day so that you sleep well and so that you're managing your stress levels at the end of the day. All right, so create a routine around your healthy habits and get committed to that routine. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just making a start. All right. Number three is celebrate every single little win. We get used to just waiting for the big goals to arrive before we celebrate ourselves. And this is the wrong way to do it, because we need to, celebrating ourselves gives us that burst of dopamine. And I want you to celebrate all of your wins, no matter how small. Celebrate the progress that you are making. Celebrate your little small victories. It might be celebrating how you're speaking to yourself differently, like Connie, just saying to you, celebrate the fact that you're no longer beating yourself up if you slip. Right? Oh my goodness, I notice that I'm treating myself with such, kindness and care now. I just notice when I slip up, and I encourage myself gently to get back on track. That's progress. Notice how you might now be creating a weekly plan, whereas maybe before you weren't. You were just like reacting to how you felt in the moment, and just eating whatever because you were tired. So if you've got a weekly plan and you are now doing some food planning or food prepping, celebrate that, because you're now in a rhythm and a routine that is going to help you moving forward. Celebrate sticking to your plan as well. Like, having a plan is one thing, sticking to it is another. And like I say, the plan doesn't need to be perfect, but what you're doing is teaching yourself commitment to your plan. Celebrating yourself gives you that burst of dopamine, like I said. It's a reward neurotransmitter. The problem is that most of us are getting our dopamine from things that are actually harmful to our health these days, like food, like social media, notifications, and social media apps know how to keep us addicted to their device. They are addictive, and our brains get dopamine from the changing feeds, from seeing notifications, all of those sorts of things. And unfortunately, we get rewarded for the wrong things. Our brains are rewarding us for the wrong things, like eating ultra processed foods, like staying in our devices, like what else? Shopping or overworking, those sorts of things. They can give us bursts of dopamine. We want to get our dopamine from celebrating our wins, instead, from celebrating ourselves, from instead of beating ourselves up, in celebrating what we are doing to move ourselves forward. Our brains love momentum. They love working on a goal. They love achieving goals. They love seeing progress. So this is why I always encourage you just to focus on progress, not perfection. Your brain will beat you up if you're not perfect, but it will celebrate you if it sees you're making progress. Keep making progress. All right. And I just want to talk about one of my clients for a moment as well, in terms of making progress. She was drinking 3 large coffees when we first started working together with milk. She was not drinking much water. And when I asked her about her water intake, her response was like, "There's water in coffee, isn't there?" Yeah. A bit of a joke. But here's what most of us do when we try and change our habits around maybe water and coffee, is we try and take all the coffee away, and we try and start drinking 2 to 3 liters of water all at once. And that is just too much of a jump all at once for our brains. We are in the habit of acting one way. We just do it without even thinking about it, okay? And suddenly you're asking your brain to adopt a completely new set of neurotransmitter paths in here overnight, and that doesn't happen. Just like you don't magically create a new path in the bush overnight. It happens because people keep walking that way, and then all the trees get chopped down, and then someone comes along with a shovel or whatever and starts to make it an official path, right? And then the old path starts to grow over. That's how habits are made in here as well. Now, I didn't do that with my client. I didn't expect her just to drop all of her coffee and then adopt 2 to 3 liters of water overnight. No, all I did was start with, we started switching out her dairy milk for plant milk. One, she had PCOS, and so she learned about the dangers of dairy milk on our hormones, our female hormones in particular. And so she decided to give up dairy, and she decided to have oat milk instead. She decided that that's the one that she liked. And then all we did was we switched out 1 cup of coffee. She was having 3, remember, large ones too. So we just switched out her afternoon coffee, and I said, let's just add a 750 ml bottle of water into your day to get started. Now that she found quite easy, because she put it into a sippy bottle and she just started drinking that throughout the day. And suddenly she realized, oh my God, that's actually quite easy to do. She started to feel the benefits of not having 3 large coffees in a day. She was no longer feeling so drained and tired and needing so much coffee to get her through her day. She was drinking water, so she was no longer dehydrated. And she actually found the momentum of drinking the water actually encouraged her to start drinking even more water. So she was suddenly up to 2 of those bottles per day on her own. And she built that momentum on her own. And then after a while, she dropped the second coffee as well. She just decided to have 1 coffee per day. That was going to start her day. And then before she knew it, she was the one carrying around a big liter bottle of water, having 3 of those per day, 3 liters of water. She still does this, by the way. And then she's the one telling off everybody else around her that they're drinking too much coffee and not drinking enough water. Right? So just little wins, because she started to see the benefits of making those small, taking those small steps, and then starting to feel better from them, but also get that burst of dopamine because, oh, hey, look at me, I'm doing this, I'm making some changes, and I feel good about the fact that I'm making changes, I'm making progress. It really helped her, and she was also seeing the benefits to her weight on the scale. Her weight started to come down. She started to feel better in her body. Clothes started to change. So some of those small steps really helped her get going. All right. Okay. So now let's look at some practical tips for you. One, I want you to find your why. Right, don't wait for motivation. Find your why. Tap into why power. Why do you want to achieve these health goals? Why is this super important for you? Right? I want you to keep your whys front and center to remind you of why it is so worth it. I want you to think about the consequences of not making any changes. So know what is coming up for you if you don't make these changes, right? Know what's going to come at you if you sit there and wait for motivation. Guess what's going to motivate you? So you're going to have some kick up the ass like I did. Some health complication that is going to scare the crap out of you to make change. That's what's going to motivate you. That's what's truly going to motivate you at that point if you wait. So think about the consequences of not making these changes. Know what's coming at you if you don't, and use that pain in your mind right now to push you to make that first step. Start to visualize, number two. So first is find your why. Number two is to visualize your success. I want you to picture yourself hitting your goals. But more than that, I want you to picture yourself not just hitting your goals. I want you to picture yourself as someone who has healthy habits and freaking loves it, who is in the swing of it. Picture yourself as somebody who absolutely loves eating whole plant foods, who loves taking care of their body, who loves taking care of their health, who just really feels amazing in their skin because they do it and it just feels so natural every single day. Right? How does it feel not just to hit the goal, but to be a person who lives like that and for whom the goal is just inevitable? What does that look like? How does it feel in your body? I want you to not just see what it looks like, I want you to explore how it feels and how good it feels. When you can tap into the feeling and the actual visual of your future self to fuel your actions that way, it's going to help you take that first step and motivate you to keep taking change, to keep making those first small steps. And three, I want you to find community. Get some community support. I don't know why I said sport. Community support. Find somebody who might be a like-minded friend or a like-minded community. You know, the community here. You guys, I want you to be posting in the group if you're having struggles with something. Please post your questions in here. I'm here to support you. My Plant Power coach client community is a fantastic place where my clients get to hang out together and support each other. We have weekly calls where they bond with each other. They tell me how they're going, what progress they're making, what support they need this week, where they're getting stuck and where they need some help with making some changes, where they might be going through a life event, an upsetting life event that they need some help navigating. Right? So this is an incredible community of like-minded people on the same journey. And this is why they succeed, because they're all there realizing that, hey, I'm not the only person who struggles on this journey. I don't need to beat myself up because, I felt like I was the only one struggling. No, they get to see that they're not the only person struggling. They get to see that struggle is normal on this journey, and they get to see that with support and love and care along this journey, they can make changes and they can achieve their goals just like other people are doing as well. All right. Community also helps you to stay focused and accountable and shift who you are being. So think about who your own community is. Who are the people you hang out with? Do they support your goals? Are they on the same journey as you? If they're not, if you find that your actions are more aligning with your community and that's not what you want to do, then maybe you need to start thinking about where you're going to find a new community that supports your new goals and who you want to be moving forward. All right, your new community is going to support you through tough moments and help you when you don't quite know how to handle something. And having support when you're making changes can be the most powerful thing you can do to make those changes stick as well. I've spoken to countless people just recently who said, I made my transition to whole food plant-based, and then something, some bigger life event happened and I fell off track, and I put, whether it was my health went backwards, I put all the weight back on, something happened, and then just all of their progress that they made has gone backwards. And so being part of a community or having a coach like myself to support you can be the big difference between you falling off track when life happens, because life will happen. Life doesn't stop because we've put our health first. Nope. It can be the difference between you falling off track and staying on track and learning how to show up differently in your life when all of life's, crazy situations and challenges come your way, because they will, right? I'm going to tell you right now, they will. Life does not stop. All right. And for those of you who recognize the power of taking action before you feel motivated and want to get started with your action ASAP, maybe you're hungry for those results, even if you don't feel motivated just yet. Here's my free gift for you. My free gift to you is a one-on-one roadmap consultation with me in the month of July. And I'm also going to walk you through the visualization process that I use with my clients to help them get into the mindset, the space of being that whole food plant-based person, being at their health goals, being at their weight goals. I'm going to walk you through that visualization as well, so that I'm going to give you a copy to take away with you as well, so that you can start practicing this and start stepping into being that person and feeling what it feels like, and that breaks down a lot of the resistance to start taking action and making change. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump on a call. We're going to look at where you're at currently with your diet and your lifestyle habits, and we're going to look at where you want to be, what your goals are, and I'm going to help you start to make some small doable changes. We're going to roadmap this together. You are going to decide what is the most doable for you. I'm going to help you do this. And when you get in the habit of making those decisions for yourself with some guidance, guess what? You can take this away and keep making more changes yourself. And I'm going to give you that visualization. I'm going to take you through it on our call, and I'm going to give it away to you. I'm going to give you a recording to take away that you can keep listening to over and over and over. So that's my free gift to you in the month of July. So if you would love to take up that call, please drop me, what we're going to say. We're going to call it roadmap call. Drop me the words roadmap call in capitals into the comments. All right. Or you can reach out to me via Facebook DM and just say to me, hey, I'm interested in that roadmap call that you talked about on the live. So just send me a DM saying that. And like I say, it's completely free, obligation free. I just want to help you start to create a little bit of momentum. All right. I want to help you start getting some runs on the board. I just want to help you start making progress forward. I want to help you start seeing success, right? This is what I'm here to do. I don't want you sitting around in my group complaining year after year after year after year that you're struggling and you're not taking action, all right? I'm here to help you achieve some goals, whether you work with me for 6 months or more, or whether you're just here to listen to my content, but I want you taking action from my content. There's no point just sitting here listening to me and saying, oh, you're so inspirational. I want you taking action. Action is what creates momentum, is what creates motivation, and what helps you achieve your goals, all right? So let's turn that around. Let's turn around this lack of motivation and start taking action. Book a call. Book that call with me. Roadmap call. Lisbeth. Yeah, we got our first one in. Who else is in? Awesome, Lisbeth. I will reach out to you and we're going to book that in. Who else is in? Let's do it. Let's do it. I've got 2 participants in my room. We're going to remove that. Sorry, you can't come into my room. All right, someone's trying to come into my Zoom room and I'm not sure why. All right, so let's turn that around. Let's turn around this lack of action and get you moving forward. It's what I'm here to do. I would love for anybody to just reach out to me. All right, I'm going to read your comments now. Let's see who's still working. Okay, Connie, yeah, she said she went back to eating meat and I've got gout. Okay, just be gentle with yourself, my dear. Okay, I notice what happens when I eat meat. My body doesn't like it. Use that as the momentum. Use that as the encouragement to keep yourself away from it. Yeah, you don't need to beat yourself up. It's like, oh, I notice what happens to my body. I notice that my body does really not like this food. All right, so my body's not meant to have it. Yeah, as soon as you take that away, guess what's going to happen? Your body is going to heal. Your body is programmed to heal. We just need to give it the right environment to heal. And Marika says, plant-based now for 4 years. Woohoo! Love it. All right. Ah, Adele, if you're still watching, I love your message to Connie. Connie, release yourself. You are your own mum. Yes, mums don't get messages through by being upset, right? They speak gently, 100%. I always say we need to be, think about the version of us that's upset, and that is, or the version of us that's made the mistake. The version of us that's made the mistake is like the 5-year-old within who just wants all the sugar, the candy, like all of the nasty foods, right? Because, you know, that's what little kids like. And it's like our adult self walked out of the room for a moment, and then our adult self walked back in and saw what the child version of us has done, and our adult self is getting mad. How dare you do that? Oh my God, look what you've done. No. And then our little child self gets scared. It's like, I don't want to make any change. I'm scared, you know, of being beaten up. No. We want to be gentle to our child self, and we want to pretend like we are adulting our child self. And we've got to be gentle to ourselves. You know, if some of you might have been, you know, spoken to harshly by a parent, and that's how you've now been taught how to speak to yourself. So have some compassion for that part of you that thinks that this is just normal and necessary, and just realize, okay, now I need to be the parent to my child self, who back then just needed some love and kindness and some encouragement. We don't, Adele, you're absolutely right. As children, we don't do well when an adult yells at us, do we? We want some gentle encouragement from our adults, from our parents. We all do better when we are spoken to by somebody very gently, when we're encouraged. We do better, we make better progress when we're encouraged, when somebody is speaking to us with kindness and love and support, rather than when somebody is treating us like an asshole. So I just did a session with my clients on this recently, and I said, Lycan, I want you to think of a time, maybe I should do a whole session on this, but I want you to think of a time when you've worked for somebody who was a complete and utter asshole. And I want you to remember how hard you wanted to work for that person. And I remember how hard I wanted to work for those people. I didn't. I wanted to quit. In fact, I did. I just didn't love working for them. You know, I felt like nothing I could do was right. I felt like everything was criticized, and I really didn't want to be there. And you will be the same. You will show up the same for yourself if you treat yourself that way. And I want you to think also about a time when you've worked for somebody who drove you like a slave, but was always there for you, supported you, had your back. If you were going through some emotional upset, that person would just probably come and put their arms around you, or just sit you down and go, is everything okay? How can I support you here? They treated you with such kindness, with care. They made sure that you were always okay. but they drove you hard. They made you do a lot of stuff, and they, you worked long hours for that person, but you wanted to because you really enjoyed working for them. They stretched you. I want you to be that version of yourself. I want you to be the version of yourself who drives yourself hard from a place of love and kindness and support, and you stretch yourself as a result of being your biggest support. All right, so let's think about it like that. Okay, everything takes learning. Yes, it does. Absolutely. Okay, so Julie, we've got a roadmap call. Amazing. A phone call with Karen will be life-changing. It's changed my life. Thank you so much, Margaret. Thank you, Amy and Julie. Well, you're back on track, Julie, this week. I know, because you're coming to my Kickstart program. So fantastic, guys. If that's all we have for today, I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for sticking around to the end. And those of you who have put your hand up for that roadmap call, I'm going to reach out to you. And if any of you are watching on replay, feel free to write down roadmap call as well if you want, and I'll keep checking back on this post if anyone drops a comment there. Otherwise, that's it for today, team. I'm going to end this live, and I think it's all going to end at once. Again, technology, trying to work out this new system. If I sit here babbling to myself and it's still going live, oh well, I'm sure I'll figure that out at some point. Anyway, okay, thank you, team. Thank you for showing up live, and yeah, I'll be back with a new topic for you next week. Okay, ciao for now.